Hey, I'm Karnak, and this is Star Wars Armada Explained. It's your buddy, it's your pal. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be looking at the Acclimator ship title, the Nevoota B. So the Nevoota B, if you look in front of its name, you'll see a little dot or bullet point signifies that it is unique, meaning you can only have one ship with this title in your fleet. How do you know it equips to the Acclimator? Well, cool picture there for you to visually see, but bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the Acclimator ship icon. Opposite corner, you'll see it's faction specific for the Republic only, and it's only 5 points. So I'm going to read through the card, and then I'm going to break down each section for you. So, Squadron Command, each non-unique squadron that you activate gains Swarm until the end of its activation. Each squadron with Swarm that you activate may reroll 1 die while attacking a ship. So, in a nutshell, what this card is allowing you to do is if you're resolving a squadron command, any non-unique squadron that you activate will get Swarm, and any squadron that you do activate that has Swarm will also get a chance to reroll 1 die while attacking a ship. Now again, I'm going to break down each part, and we're going to talk about some intricacies and interactions and make sure I'm explaining everything for you, okay? Alright, so let's start out with the first part there, the squadron command. So you can only use this effect if a squadron command is resolving. So that's when you're spending either a squadron dial or a squadron token, or you're resolving a dial and token together. Well, it's only one of 3 ways you can resolve a command in Armada. So let's say for this instance we're resolving a squadron dial. As soon as we've declared that we're resolving a squadron dial, great, Nevoota B is in effect. This Acclimator has a squadron value of 3, so we can choose 3 squadrons to activate, and any squadrons that we activate, like for example, if we were going to activate this Delta 7 and this Y-Wing and this Torrent, well, again, we activate the Delta, we check its keywords, okay, it doesn't have Swarm, alright, it's being activated, as it says here, by each non-unique squadron that you activate. Again, the ship is activating that squadron. Okay, it is a non-unique squadron. It's a generic Delta 7. It doesn't have Swarm. Great. Now it gets Swarm. Okay, that's the first part, or the first part of this card effect. If it doesn't have Swarm, it gains Swarm until the Delta 7 ends its activation. So, meaning if it goes up to attack a squadron like this Vulture here, and it rolls with 3 blue and 1 black. Let's get the dice out here. So 3 blue, 1 black, and oh, we just know we need 1 more damage to kill this Vulture. Well, the Delta 7 already has Adept 1, which is while attacking, you can re-roll 1 die. Great, let's try to re-roll it. We still didn't get the damage that we needed. In this case, that would have been it, you know, but oh, guess what? The Delta 7 has gained Swarm from the Nevoota B. Let's try re-rolling this other blue die here, and hey, there we go. We got that hit. So, as you can see, very powerful title because it's giving you multiple resources of reroll, which is extremely good, especially when you're attacking ace squadrons. Like if this had been a scatter ace, well, not only are you locking that scatter token, you're chucking 3 damage at it, it's going to brace, it's still going to take 2. Very, very good in this situation. And again, great with Delta 7s, but also good for like Y-Wings, which are throwing the blue and the black. You know, that way if the blue misses, again, you can reroll that. They have Swarm. So that's great. It's essentially, it's just helping you potentially put out not more damage, but potentially a higher damage ceiling than otherwise, you know, if you roll poorly, which it's Armada, that can happen. Now, one thing I want to back up 1 second, I forgot to touch on, is I do want to note that only non-unique squadrons gain Swarm, meaning generic versions, not any of the heroes. If they've got a dot or bullet point in front of their name, it means they're unique. They will never gain Swarm. All right, but we've got the second part of the card here, which is each squadron with Swarm that you activate may reroll 1 die while attacking a ship. So again, whether that be your generic squadrons here flying up and attacking this Providence, like for example, if this Y-Wing was to fly up and attack this Providence, it throws a black die. And in this case it was a blank, but guess what? Since it gained Swarm because it was activated by Nevoota B, it's a non-unique squadron, and as it says on there, if you have Swarm, You can reroll 1 die, so we can do that. Perfect. Now we got a damage. It's pretty much, it's like a built-in bomber command card. And again, for only 5 points. So again, non-unique squadrons will gain swarm, and if they're also attacking a ship, they can reroll 1 die. Arcs throwing the double blue. Again, if they were to roll up and throw 2 blue, that's 2 damage because they're bomber. Now, one thing I do want to note that, again, all your Delta 7 heroes, your Y-Wing heroes, your ARC 170 heroes, the uniques, they will never be able to gain swarm, and they will never be able to use the second part of the card because they don't have swarm. However, because Axe and Kickback already have swarm as part of their keywords for their ships, they do get the second part of the card because it's each squadron that has swarm gets the reroll, compared to only non-uniques will gain swarm. Does that make sense? Now, you might be wondering, well, what about the regular generic V19s? Do they gain double swarm? No, that's not how the game works. Essentially, you are checking the card. Does this card already have swarm? Yes, it already has swarm. It can't gain any additional benefits. A keyword is only applied once in this case. It's not like counter, which specifically calls out like counter X, which allows you to increase. That's not how this works, though. But for the rest of your non-unique generics, you check their card. So they have swarm? No? Okay, they gain swarm. Then if you're attacking a ship, again, check the card. Do they have swarm or have they gained swarm? Then they can re-roll a die. Okay, I think I pretty much have laid that out as clear as I possibly can, because some people were very confused about, well, wait, if they gain swarm, how can they then also get the second part of this card, because they technically don't have swarm? Well, because of how exactly how this card is laid out, they are gaining swarm in the first part of the card if they're non-unique, and then when you're reading through to the second part of the card, the check is, do they have swarm? Well, yes, they've gained swarm. Okay, because if it was to be restricted to only squadrons that only had swarm when it started, it would have read as printed swarm. If you review cards like Heavy Fire Zone or the Starhawk title Unity, you will see that they specifically call out that if something has printed heavy or printed something else, it's specifically defining that as it needs to specifically have this keyword printed on their card for this effect to then take place. That's not the case here. So again, a ship can gain swarm from the Nevoota B and then also gain the second part, which is the die reroll against attacking ships. All right. Again, to a lot of players, it kind of seems like, well, duh. But again, I want to make sure I'm being specifically clear because this is a common question still, especially from newer players. Now, one niche interaction that has been pointed out, over and over again. Again, this is another question we get all the time. Is if a squadron has swarm and it's destroyed, can you bring that back with reserve hangar deck? Like, for example, if this Delta 7 had, for some reason, only 1 health left, it flew up to this Providence, it's activated my Nevoota B, so it gains swarm, it attacks the Providence, and then the Providence decides to salvo back at it, and it rolls, its attack dice, let's say it's double black. Let's just say that one of those is a hit. There we go. So now the Delta 7 is destroyed. Well, because it's still during its activation, if you have a ship nearby that has the reserve hangar deck card, again, it has swarm. It's a non-unique squadron. If it is destroyed in that, that short period window, you could discard reserve hangar deck to bring back a Delta 7 at 2 health, or a Y-Wing, or an ARC 170. Again, the V19 Torrents already have swarm, so that card is already beneficial for them. But yes, in that very short window of when it is activated, it has swarm, and if it gets destroyed by salvo or counter, you can bring that squadron back to life with reserve hangar deck as long as it's in range to be able to do so. So it's kind of a great strategy that if you do have a squadron with like 1 health left, if you chuck it at like a tri-fighter or at a ship that may want to counter back and destroy it, if the other player is not being aware of that interaction, they could kill your squadron and then you can just bring it right back with 2 health rather than the 1 health it had. Okay, let's check the KARM, make sure I'm not missing anything. Yes, okay, ship equipped, get swarm. when they activate squadrons, all right, we covered all that. We covered about how all squadrons with swarm, including the squadrons that have gained swarm from the card effect, are able to use the reroll. And we recovered the reserve hangar deck interaction. All right, so that's Nevoota B for all the interactions that I've been able to discover thus far. Obviously, new expansions can come along, rules can change, so I always encourage you to, obviously, if you got questions, drop a comment, let me know, or read the updated rules reference guide. So thank you for joining me today. I look forward to producing more videos in the future. You guys all have a great one. See you later.